One of the biggest decisions in your lifetime is buying or selling a house. Choosing a realtor with strong client communication, technology, and marketing skills will dramatically improve your chance of success. That's why Hunterdon and Somerset's residents rely on Joe Peters. Joe believes his clients deserve a smooth and seamless experience, not a roller coaster ride. As a Coldwell Banker sales associate with 20 years of experience, he's helped hundreds of people to achieve their goals and dreams, no matter where they were in the buying or selling process. Joe accomplishes this by approaching every transaction from a business perspective. Initially, he tries to fully understand your goals and dreams and make them his own. Then he takes the mass amount of data that's available and distills it down to a few understandable action points. And finally, he controls the entire process through technology and marketing. The end result to you is a smooth, rewarding customer experience. Let Joe show you how to take his professional expertise and put it to work for you. To contact Joe, go to jpeters.com or call 908-238-0118.
So once again, it's Joe Peters with Jeff Kuhl, and it's K-U-H-L.
Yes, sir.
And it's pronounced like the word
Cool, correct.
Okay.
German.
German?
Yes.
Jawohl.
Yeah.
Jeff, let's go backwards and come forward. You've been a resident of the county and of Raritan Township all your life, it sounds like, and actually went to local college and got your associate's degree and run a family business. Sort of walk me through all of that.
Well, to start out with, my family's been here for many generations. I'm actually where our family business is on that farm. I'm the 6th generation there, and we have 7th generation and there now, and 8th generation is going to be coming, I'm sure.
That's amazing.
So it's been a really neat thing to be involved with. I was born in the Hunterdon Medical Center, and I lived here all my life. I grew up where our family business is, and it was a farmhouse, and there was actually 3 generations lived in that farmhouse when I was very young, until I was
Wow.
4 years old. And then my parents built a house, and my grandparents built a house, and so on. So at a certain point, they were farmers, and my grandfather decided to get involved in selling other equipment and doing some other things to help supplement being a farmer. And so he started buying and selling poultry equipment, making some poultry equipment back in the day, and that's when there were many poultry farms in New Jersey, and a lot of those people were immigrants, Jewish immigrants that came over, and my grandfather helped them out, helped them get started, gave them, if they were good people, gave them credit, and a lot of people were grateful for that. And then my uncle got involved in the business. My uncle basically kept on with what my grandfather was doing, and my father saw other needs, and so he was the originator of the commercial egg washer way back, I guess probably in the late 50s.
Okay.
So, and at that time they called it a motorized garbage can. It's basically you put the eggs in this bucket and a garbage can looking thing, and it had a propeller in it, but it started working. And then eventually things evolved from there, and we started making other types of equipment to start out with, and that grew. And then my brother and I got involved in that part of the business, and we decided with my father that we need to diversify, because if the egg industry isn't, poultry industry or egg industry isn't really doing well, we have other industries we can get involved with. So a lot of the machinery was similar to what we were doing. So let's say we were in egg washing. Somebody from the egg industry went into the hatchery industry.
Right.
They said, hey, Kuhl makes this machine, and they contact us and say, can you make something like this? And well, yeah, we can. So we went to that, and then somebody from there went into the bakery industry, and the machines are very similar. So we got involved in the bakery industry, all the large bakeries all around the world, and Tasty Cake, Entenmann's, Holman, a lot of those big bakeries. Then We got involved in the chocolate industry. And Tyson Foods and Domino's Pizza and Walgreens and Panera Breads and made things for NASA. We made a machine to mix up and make the tiles for the space shuttle.
Okay.
We've got involved in a lot of innovations for the poultry industry where they used to have to vaccinate every baby chick. And I got involved with this company. They had a concept, but they didn't know how to do it. So I actually invented this machine with them that at 28 days of incubation, 18 days of incubation, we poked a hole in the egg and injected the vaccine into the egg before the baby chick was born. So that started automating that, and then we got into a lot of automation for that. So we have hatcheries where they're hatching 120,000 baby chicks an hour, and with probably like 3 or 4 people.
That's amazing.
So it's so we get involved in a lot of things, and so as our company branched out in a lot of these different industries, we diversified. It's worked very well for us. We have a great group of employees that if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be where we are today. We have people that we actually have one guy that's worked for us, I think, 50, 55 years. He doesn't want to retire. A lot of them have been 20, 30, 40 years, and then we have a lot of good younger guys now. So it's great to see, especially here in Hunterdon County.
Right. And it seems to me from looking at some of the pictures of your equipment, it's massive. I mean, some of this wouldn't fit on a tractor trailer.
Oh yeah, well, a lot of the machinery has to be taken apart to be shipped, and it could be multiple trailer loads. We do a lot of export. We export all through Asia, Russia, Europe. We do a lot in South America, Brazil, naturally all through the United States. We export to Taiwan, believe it or not, from New Jersey.
Wow.
We just exported about a month ago a machine to Siberia. I didn't want to go over there. I didn't want to go over there and deal with it. Luckily, it started up and ran good. So you wouldn't think that a little company started out with a bunch of farmers would end up where we are today. So it's like I say, it's neat, and it's always something new and different that I deal with myself, because I deal with a lot of designing the machinery, and so I always like challenges. And
how many patents do you have?
12.
12 patents, personally or as a
Yes.
company? Personally, that impresses me.
I think as a company, there's I think in 50 or so. Yeah.
Wow. So at some point in time, and I know this from the egg auction building, if you ever just walk through, it's like a monument to the egg industry, and from people that I helped buy and sell, and some of them have passed on over the years, this was big egg. Everybody seemed to have chickens at one point.
Yeah,
this was a poultry capital of New Jersey.
Yeah, and in fact, I remember when I was a little kid, for a class trip from school, we went to the egg auction, and they had our machinery from our company in there processing the eggs and stuff. And I thought that was so neat, as a little young boy.
Wow. So your company is just above Red Beans Toyota, and where the gym is there, and you're back on a family named road.
Cool Road, yes.
Cool Farm Road, Cool Road.
Cool Road, yeah.
And you said you've got somewhere between 65 and 70 employees out there.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you've got other employees and agents around the world.
Right.
I'm impressed. I'm really impressed, because when I did Leadership Hunterdon, we talked about the hospital and the school systems are leading 2 employers here. And we never talked about the 3rd employer. And I would think from a manufacturing in Hunterdon County, you've got to be one of the top manufacturers.
Well, I know, Car and Truck Country is a big employer.
Right.
And Jana Foods is a big employer.
That's John I'm not thinking about. So that's.
But I guess we're in there somewhere.
Yeah.
We're not in a race to see who has the most employees. We're just here to do the right thing.
I went out last week to visit Jim at Zero Surge to see his facility. He's been running the Hack Hunterdon with Mark,
Right.
and he's only got 7 employees, but he does a lot of business with 7 employees out there. He's actually doing OEM, and he's also doing things that go as devices into other things. As you said, some of your manufacturing is part of something bigger when it actually, you don't see it at the end of the day. So the family has been in the business. You're in your seventh generation of
Well,
people.
seventh generation of, seventh generation of on the same property.
Okay.
I'm third generation in the business and fourth generation's in the business as well and doing well.
Wonderful. Kudos. I mean, I'm totally impressed with it. I gotta come over and take a tour.
And I think part of it that helps is, I've my father, who he's still comes to work pretty much every day. He loves it.
How old is he now?
He's 89
Wow.
and
My hero.
still doing well. And so I had my uncle. He worked there till he passed away. I don't know how many, 5 years ago, maybe or so. He worked there till the end. I have a brother. I have a cousin, Rick, who's involved in the town and involved in the poultry equipment part of the business that my uncle was involved with. He has a son that's involved in the business. He has a daughter that's involved in the business. I have a son that's involved in the business, and my brother has a son that's going to college for engineering, and he works there when he's not in school.
What a great story.
Yeah.
And even the fact that 3 generations were in one house at one time, we just don't see that anymore with people that haven't immigrated to here. Okay.
Right.
People, like, I do a lot of it in Somerset County. My business spreads across Somerset and Hunterdon, and we sell generational housing over there in the Asian and it's just part of the Asian culture, and that's natural to them. But we also see it in other ethnicities, but
Right.
we don't typically see it here in Hunterdon County. Although I'm a newbie, I've only been here 21 years. So
Well, I mean, that's I think how the farming community, that's the way they
Right.
were back then. Is you had the elder parents, and then you had the next generation, and then they had children, and that's how they kept the farm going. And then unfortunately, I would say in the 70s, farming was not as fruitful as it was or had been, and so a lot of the next generation didn't want to be involved in the farms. So a lot of people, including us, bought neighbors' farms and so on that they were ready to retire. Their children
Right.
didn't want anything to do with it,
Yep.
and so they came to the neighbor and said, would you like to buy my farm? We want to keep it as a farm, and hopefully we can have life rights there. So that's what we did with some of the properties we bought. Is the families still lived there till the day they died and enjoyed it, and so it worked out for everybody.
Good. So how many acres do you have over there on your?
As far as our entire family, we have about 760 acres.
My goodness, that's half a state. I always say 20 acres is almost a state park, so 700 acres is a lot.
And most of that's in farming. So
Okay, so it's farmland preserved or just being farmed?
some of it's farmland preserved and farmed, and some of it's just owned outright and farmland assessed and farmed.
So I've discovered in Hunterdon County, especially after Leadership Hunterdon, I also did Leadership Somerset, it's hard not to get involved in the county. It's a great county, there's a lot of great causes,
Yes.
and you have gotten involved, and people say, oh, the mayor, he's doing it for the money. No, there's no money in mayorship. You're probably giving your check to charity at the end of the day. So it's a lot of abuse with a little money.
Right.
But I understand, were on the planning board and lots of other things before you came mayor. So talk a little about your public career.
Well, I guess it was in the 90s. I saw development in Raritan Township really going crazy, and I didn't understand why it was somewhat out of control, and I wanted to get involved and try and make a difference. And so that was my main reason for getting involved in the planning board at that time. So I joined the planning board, and I started from the bottom like everything else, and started as second alternate, first alternate, and then became a member, and then wasn't long after that I was vice chairman for a few years, and then I was chairman for quite a few years. I think I was I've been on the planning board I think 23, 24 years.
Wow.
So I learned a lot about the town. We made quite a few ordinance changes and different things that we were able to control the growth and regulate it to certain areas where we wanted to have, let's say, industrial, where we wanted to have commercial, where we wanted to have residential. And we, we changed zoning where in the Lakatong formation there was rarity, or water was hard to find. And I mean, there was some people, they were getting, a half a gallon a minute or a gallon a minute when they drill 400 feet down in the ground.
Wow.
And so we actually took some of those areas where they were, and for scientific reasons we did it, where we changed it from, I think it was 2 acre zoning to 6 acre zoning. We took some where there was some areas that we went, I think, from 2 acres to 5 acres. But we did it with, the homeowner, the landowner, in our minds. We didn't want to just go out and take something for for nothing and leave them high and dry. I mean, I've always been a proponent of property rights, and I feel that that they should be taken into consideration with anything. I would never want to take somebody's property for not the right reasons,
Right.
And leave them high and dry, which is sometimes we run into that.
So through that, you got somehow to be the mayor.
Well,
Probably a lot of steps in that somehow.
for quite a few years, people were asking me to run, and I was always behind the scenes. Actually, my father was the Hunterdon County Republican chairman for 35 years.
Okay.
And so I, from a young age, I was, helping stuff envelopes and do some of that stuff. And so, I was always supporting the group and helping out behind the scenes. I was, always, I just like to get things done and help make a difference. And so there were, it seemed like it was the time. And so I jumped in and hit doors and campaigned like you're going to lose, and
Right.
and we had some pretty hard opposition last year. They had a lot of money to spend, and so we made out well. And because of my long knowledge of the township and everything that goes on in town, I people knew I had the knowledge and the I guess knowledge, courage, and the heart and the to do it. And I would say the first 2-3 weeks was pretty hectic. But I've always been the kind of person, you give me a challenge and I'll take it on and make it happen. So we we jumped right in, and I have a great Don Hutchins, who's our town administrator. He's a great guy to work with. He helps you get stuff done, and actually the rest of the committee is great to work with. So we were able to get a lot of things done that weren't getting done this year. For instance, I think for over 4 years we're in litigation with the Council of Affordable Housing, COA, or Fair Share Housing, I guess you would say. And we went in there and we had a first meeting, and I'm a business guy. I'm not a politician. Mm-hmm. And I went into that meeting and I acted like a businessman, and what they were proposing wasn't going to work, and we walked out. And then negotiations started, and so we negotiated from the original numbers that we were supposed to provide, which was like 1,200 low-income housing units they wanted Raritan Township to provide. We were half of that where we ended up, which was pretty awesome for anybody around here.
So while we're on affordable housing, I'm looking at Hunterdon County, and I always looked at things as a business person, because I grew up in a business world. Just got too many of these great things that I couldn't keep the corporate job anymore. The 4 areas of Hunterdon County, which were the 4 mayors we had at the Realtors Day, comprise better than 50%, almost 60% of all of the houses we sell, Raritan, Reddington, Clinton Township. And we got to talking about what's happening with the affordable housing. Everybody took their turn. We had about 40 realtors in a room. It was quite civil. I thought it might get a little out of hand. Somebody said, look at that many people in a room ever. But I think it was very educational. It seems to me like many of the towns are doing what they have to do, trying to keep it to a minimum as far as the impact on the town, but aren't looking past 2025, because in most cases that's 6 or 7 years from now, and I've got this year to worry about.
Great.
Do you feel that way about planning, or do you?
Not in Raritan Township, we're not thinking that way.
Okay.
You know, I always look far ahead when I do anything. And in Raritan Township, we know that there's going to be another round coming up. Wishful thinking, I wish it was the way it was back in the 90s when we used to just send money to New Brunswick or whatever. And they actually put the low-income housing where the low-income housing probably should be, because there's the jobs and there's revitalization of these buildings that could be done. Public transportation. Unfortunately, we don't have that out here. And no, we're already looking at what possibilities we may need to have for that. I mean, my hope is I really think with this last round that there's going to be possibly an overabundance of units, and when we get to that point, hopefully they'll take a look and say, hey, we have enough units. We don't need to provide more, because one thing that's huge in our town, and also it's part of Flemington as well, and a little bit of Reddington, is we have the sewer plant, and at this moment there's really no additional sewer capacity for any more affordable housing or much development at all. So that's an issue that we're dealing with as well, trying to get a handle on that. And then on top of that, I don't know if the DEP came in with some new C1 stream regulations.
That's where Mark was last week.
Right, well, I was there as well.
Oh, okay.
We went to a meeting at DEP in Trenton last week.
Right.
And so I've had we have a group of people, and then Janice Kovacs and Betsy Driver and some other communities that we all got together in Hunterdon County, because in Raritan Township, our sewer plant, 30% of our sewer plant would be located in this 300-foot buffer. To increase the flow rate would be physically impossible almost, because of the clarity of the water that you would have to provide it after that classification is changed. On top of that, in Raritan Township alone, it's gonna, because all the tributaries that go to these streams, it's gonna affect, we estimate 1,900 homes or 1,900 properties in Raritan Township, and I think 30% of those are residential and 70% of those are commercial or industrial.
And they're all existing today.
No, I would say, well, all the properties exist, but they're saying that if they are already developed, that you can redevelop them, but you still have to go through rigorous DEP issues. But if it's non-developed, then that 300-foot buffer, you can't go in it.
So
That's
it's-
my understanding. So,
it's a stone wall.
so it's going to be, it's taking of people's property without giving them anything in return.
Let's finish off affordable housing. What
Mhm.
projects are on the boards for now? I know there was something built just down past Costco on the left about 3 years ago.
Okay, so basically, to complete our COA, what's not built, that's going to complete our COA. What do you call it? Our settlement.
Okay.
They're actually under construction now behind, over by Stop and Shop. There's a rental. I think it's around 100 units. It's rental. 20% of those are low to medium income, and the rest are market rate.
Market rate.
There's also in where Lowe's is, there was an office building there that naturally office buildings aren't doing well in this part of the country.
Right.
So and basically the same footprint, we changed that to allow for 20% low income, and then the rest of that market rate. I think that's around 100 units there. And then behind there's on the left, there's a 100% affordable unit, which is called the Willows.
That's what I was thinking.
And that's been occupied for a couple of years now, I think. And I think it's 84 units or 87 units. And as far as school children, there's, I think, 30 to 37 school children out of that. And across the road from there, there's preliminary approval for another 100 units of 100% affordable housing. Initially, there was as part of our COA plan on Dayton Road, there was a property that the township was given as part of a development years ago, and that was part of the COA plan. The property had wetlands, had issues, and the public in that area, really didn't appreciate it as well. So what we did is we took that out of the equation, and we put this in its place where it's close to businesses. You want to put this where it's close to businesses, where they can walk and where they can get jobs, hopefully, and things like that.
So how many affordable housing units does that add up to over what period of time? Just
Well,
roughly.
you're going to probably be about 300 housing units.
Okay.
A lot of those are single or one bedroom, some are two bedroom, and very few are three bedroom. You're not getting, right away, you look at what's it gonna do to schools and
Yeah.
population and traffic. There's traffic studies all have to be done and everything like that, just like any other developments. But as far as school children, our school system is about, I understand, 600 children less than it was. And we're figuring that you're probably going to have maybe 200 coming out at the most out of all the low income.
So because our school, and I know as part of what I did with leadership, I understood that the county in general is dropping 24% over the next 5 years.
Right.
Now, when I talk to other towns like Gloria at Hillsborough says, we're not doing that. We've built so many apartments. The schools are more than full again. So we're not faced with the schools
No, we're not going
overflowing.
to. I think they're going to have to do some redistricting,
Yeah.
because of where they're built versus, of the school, who's going to go to what school.
So what about the next level up then, which would be entry level market rate housing? This would be for people earning probably 50,000 as a single and more. Some of what you described is going to have units for that, but I don't see developments on the board anywhere. in Hunterdon County, like a new Toll-Rose development, which is typically middle income, other than there's a 55 plus or two around.
I did leave one project out. Where our 55 and older Pulte development is,
Right.
on Case Boulevard, that's, there is actually 50 affordable housing units there, which are for sale units.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. So it's a nice mix going on. But one of the things that Mark and I talk about all the time are, if we bring all these technical people in, where are they gonna live? Okay, we can give them a job. There's enough jobs here and there. But in order to afford $1,250 rent or mortgage, and you can't find either in Hunterdon County, you gotta earn $50,000. And we don't have that kind, so you probably need to earn a minimum of $75,000 if you're single to live here, and we don't have that kind of jobs here. So it's a chicken and egg kind of thing. We're back to the poultry.
Right.
When I first looked at this, one of the fellows that worked for the planning board at the county level said, what we really need is entry-level housing. We need to go back to building housing to grow from the bottom up. And it just doesn't seem like, because of the cost of land and some of the restrictions, that that's possible.
Right, and, I mean, you can see in I know Raritan Township anyway, the condos, townhomes, the lower range housing prices, I think and you're a real estate agent, you would
Yeah.
know better than me, but I think they move fairly well. They
do.
you know, because that's entry level. And, you know, we have a great school system, so it's a great place to raise your kids.
Right.
And, you know, basically crime is non-existent, and,
I always say the best job around is to be a cop out here. And I respect what these guys gotta do, but
Yeah.
I'm looking at the median price for Raritan Township for September was $472,000. And we sold 14 houses in September that are single. We sold another 12 that were in townhouses, and we really didn't close anything in adults, but I would think that's an anomaly, because we've got a couple of nice adult communities going on. That's way above where these people would be looking. Because if you figure $5 a thousand mortgaged, so a $200,000, that would be 5 times 2 would be $1,000 for $200,000. You got to pay the taxes. Now it's $1,500.
Right.
Homeowners, if you're in a thing, so you're easily up to $1,750 to $2,000, and that's going to require, as I said, a $75,000 job. So you have to commute out and come back, and we call it traffic. Everybody sort of goes east to work and comes back to live, and it's not just here, and this is the end. Everybody from Pennsylvania comes to Hunterdon County
Correct.
to work.
Yeah.
All the car dealerships are people from Pennsylvania. They go back west. We pay $2 an hour more minimum wage, and most of it, nobody earns minimum wage anymore. Costco's paying $15 an hour to start.
Right.
So it's hard to work here and live here. You have
Correct.
to live here and work somewhere else and bring it
a
back.
lot of mine, I mean, you know, I have employees that live here and work here, but they were somewhat established.
Yeah,
A lot of the younger guys are coming from, you know, Easton, Phillipsburg area, and traveling every day.
and we're talking about, as far as population, some 21,000, just under 22,000 in Raritan Township.
Correct.
And we're at 116th of 566 in the state community. So we're in the upper quartile, pens are flying. 591 people per square mile. That sounds like a lot, but it's got to be an accurate number. We're fairly dense, but fairly united. I mean, the reason we moved here when we lived in Middlesex County is we just wanted to be where the horses and cows were. And we started coming out, we started looking, and it took a while, and we bought our first house, we traded up, we bought a second house, and we got a little older, and we downsized into a townhouse at this point in time, which is now gonna be, it's good exercise going up, down downstairs, but this isn't forever. We need to get on one floor. And I turn around and I look at the 55 pluses, which is the last section, and the 55 pluses that we're selling are advertised that they're starting under 400, but if you get a basement and a premium lot and a front door, you're almost $600,000 anymore.
Yeah, that's amazing, yeah.
So I have people trying to sell a $500,000 house, a 4-bedroom Center Hall Colonial in Raritan Township on 2 or 3 acres. Is probably in the 450 to 550 range if it's 20 years or older. They're kind of hard to sell because we're getting at the level that people don't want to move this far west anymore, and there's newer housing than that, not much more money, and you get a lot of competition from bigger houses that are having a hard time selling, keep cutting their prices.
Right.
So for another $30,000-$40,000, you could have twice the house and be newer. It seems to me we've got not a crisis, but a concern at hand, in that we have housing at the wrong level. Now, you're German, I'm Polish. I call it about the Polish bridge builder. We're looking to buy houses down there, and we're looking to sell houses up here, and we really can't bridge them because there's like $100,000 to $200,000 between.
Right.
So as a result, we drive some people out of the area to live, but they really don't save any money when they do that. They just can rent instead of buy, and they go to places like Bayonne and Jersey City where everything costs more money. Get a shirt clean costs twice what it costs here. Get a car to park. It's denser. They wind up spending more of the discretionary money just to live, and as a result, there's no money being put away for buying your own home eventually.
Right.
So we're sort of separating the classes that way, and at the same time, we're getting this integration of the classes through affordable housing, and the classes that are coming in for that are, and I mean, Janice Kovac said it best, is that there's nothing wrong with these people. They just don't earn what we typically earn.
Right.
And that's through lack of education or lack of leadership. I don't know what it was, but they're typically a single in affordable housing is earning less than $37,000, if I remember the numbers, and a family under 75 4, where what we're trying to sell is way above that. So as a result, we have lots of inventory. Under 400, we're in great shape. Anything that's clean sells. 400 to 500, we're average. 500 to 600, a little bit of pressure. Over 600, lots of pressure. So we're seeing an environment that's changing as we speak. And now we're putting additional pressure on with maybe there's not people living in the community that you moved out here to live next to. And I'll give you a great example. One of our better realtors in Warren lives in Four Seasons. Four Seasons is a $1.2 million to $1.5 million, 55 plus gated community, but there's affordable housing in there. And she's saying, Joe, I'm at the pool of affordable housing people. They're not so bad, but they're not living in the same kind of house I'm living in. They're living in the furthest to the woods section that's a lot less than what we're buying. So it's not just here, it's everywhere. But the problem goes in magnitude. So where we sort of run out of steam in getting into the 600,000 and above range, Somerset County over in Warren Watchung runs out of steam at $1.2 million range. So there's a lot more range before they run out of steam.
Right.
But then last week I had an opportunity to see a house in Berkeley Heights for Sherry, the same woman. And then I'm bumping into people coming from Middlesex County trying to come a little west. They never will live in Somerset and in Warren Watchung. They're going to be in accounting for closer to New York. And the counties closer to New York, there's nothing wrong with. They're just smaller houses, less expensive properties, and the commute to New York is running the whole, and it's always been our whatever.
Yeah.
What?
But we're a pretty unique area here. Unfortunately, we don't have as much business here that probably, large businesses that we probably would help our area. But, we're basically an hour from Philadelphia, an hour from New York City, an hour from the Jersey Shore, and an hour from the Poconos. So it is a pretty unique area.
One of the things you've got that a lot of communities don't have is public water and sewer. But it's only for a limited area.
Correct.
I think in the Case Boulevard, across from Northlands is old public store, if I remember, that general area.
Yeah,
And
there's sewer service area and there's a water, public water service area as well.
so what percentage of the homes in Raritan Township are public as far as sewer and water? Very small, I would think.
Well, in those areas, it's more densely populated.
Right,
So, I can't give you a number,
okay.
but,
That's fair.
but I would say it could be 30%, I don't know.
So what do you see as your goals for 2019, 2020 as the mayor? I mean, what are your top priorities?
As mayor, I've always been here just to serve and
Right.
do what we feel is right for the community and what the community wants. We've done, like I say, we've done some things with sewer. We've done some things with COA. We've done some things with going through our master plan and things like that. We've invested in software and tools that we need in our township building to be more efficient and help people. Our township building, well, any township building, a lot of them, you go into and they act like they're the government
Right.
and you're bothering them. So, through people before me over the last couple of years and myself, we want to turn it more into like a business. And so the community is your customer.
Yep.
And so you need to treat your customer with respect. You need to treat them right and help them out as much as you can. I've gotten involved in a lot of different things over this past year. Some a little bit crazy, but some good things to help people. Like I say, I'm always there. I just want to help.
Great.
And
That's a great outlook.
so there's things there where we employees as far as we approved on the request of the schools to have class 3 officers in the schools because of some things going on. So we've employed them. The schools fund them, but we have, because of our police department, we took care of that.
What is a Class 3 officer?
Class 3 officer is a part-time officer, and they are retired officers. So they don't get the benefits, they don't get the pay.
But they're in the school.
They're hired as so many hours for the school during the school year,
Okay.
and they can be at any school at any time. There's no
Okay.
schedule. I mean, let's face it, we live in a different world today than we
That's for sure.
did, and it's unfortunate, but we have to deal with it.
Do these officers carry a weapon?
Yes,
They do,
they
okay.
do.
That's
Uh,
interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and so that we streamlined a lot of things. We've made our sign ordinances easier for businesses. We've tried to make things easier for businesses to do things. We're actually recodifying all of our ordinances right now and going through them and looking at things that are outdated, things that need to be changed, and making those corrections. Because over the years, they make a change in one section, they don't make the change in the other section, and they're working against each other and things like that. So we're in the process of doing that. We're going to have that done this year. There's the morale of the township is really good right now.
I gotta admit, I think it is, and I do a lot of, I'm in offices, I'm getting permits and whatever, and so your people are, it comes from the top down, it doesn't happen by
Yeah,
accident,
right.
because even if I can walk into one Home Depot and walk into another Home Depot, I can tell you that there's a better manager here, they're looking in your eyes, they're saying hello, they're not making eye
Right.
contact.
Right.
Jeff, we could sit here for a couple more hours, we're at the end of our hour already.
Great.
So what point would you have liked to have made today that we didn't make?
really, Hunterdon County and Raritan Township is a great place to live. I've traveled around for many places in business, and there's a lot of great places you want to go on vacation, a lot of places you like to visit, but I've never been anywhere else that I'd want to live. And I just hope and strive that we can keep it the great place it is, and revitalize some areas and get some new blood in the area. And I think it's coming, and I think it's going to be great for all of us.
And I see some exciting new projects. A lot of people can't tell Flemington from Raritan Township, where it starts, where it stops. So there's some exciting new projects going on, like the Chimney Rock is, we're on. So the Chimney Rock was an example from maybe 2 years ago.
Yes.
But I see there's a tool company coming in across from where ShopRite is.
Harbor Freight.
Harbor Freight. Even when you go to the malls are full. I mean, we're having a good year retail-wise.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, retail has changed its complexion too.
Right,
and,
online and everything else.
So you must be, because I'm on Mark all the time, and we live up in Annandale, which is part of Clinton Township. We need a $20 restaurant like a Applebee's up there, and we don't. And he says, it's free market, Joe. I can't tell them where to go. There's obviously not enough. You guys have a lot of great restaurants. You have a lot of great retail. Yeah. You have, the parking lots are full. So
and we work together well with Flemington. For instance, Chimney Rock, part of that was in Flemington and part of that was in Raritan Township.
Right.
So we worked together to get get that approved together, and the liquor license actually came from Raritan Township, and I joked to them when they came to the planning board that corner of the building was the only place they could serve alcohol, because that was where the liquor license came from. But in fact, that is where the bar is. But anyway.
Well, Jeff, I appreciate you coming on. We'll have to repeat this once a year or so and talk about new items. But I've always enjoyed Raritan. It's sold more houses than any other town in Hunterdon County. We have 26 of them and it does it just about every month. And I think whatever needs to be done is getting done, and it shows. And it's a place where I want to live. It's a place where you have lived all your life. Yes. And I think it's a place where people listening may want to come take a look, because we have a lot of history. We have a lot of farming, and I always say turn left at the cows, right at the horses kind of living. If that's what you're looking for, come on out to Raritan Township. We've got it.
Absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
One of the biggest decisions in your lifetime is buying or selling a house. Choosing a realtor with strong client communication, technology, and marketing skills will dramatically improve your chance of success. That's why Hunterdon and Somerset's residents rely on Joe Peters. Joe believes his clients deserve a smooth and seamless experience, not a roller coaster ride. As a Coldwell Banker sales associate with 20 years of experience, he's helped hundreds of people to achieve their goals and dreams, no matter where they were in the buying or selling process. Joe accomplishes this by approaching every transaction from a business perspective. Initially, he tries to fully understand your goals and dreams and make them his own. Then he takes the mass amount of data that's available and distills it down to a few understandable action points. And finally, he controls the entire process through technology and marketing. The end result to you is a smooth, rewarding customer experience. Let Joe show you how to take his professional expertise and put it to work for you. To contact Joe, go to jpeters.com or call 908-238-0118.